Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, this reaction here comes from special request by one of my regular viewers, and I've been asked to check out this dating guru pickup artist guy, Michael Chief, and it was really hard to find things on him, to be honest, and I had to just go to Google. There was nothing on YouTube about him. I just had to Google and muck around, and the only thing I can find is this little 30-minute interview on SoundCloud. So I thought, I'll check him out, see what's going on. As you can see by the title here, it's Michael Chief, dating when Asian, introverted and short. Now it's probably going to go and tell you all the different ways you can overcome that, but I can tell you in a nutshell, in a Western dating market, this guy's got no hope if he's Asian, introverted and short. Like, he's pretty much pushing shit uphill if he's going to get any results, unless he goes for people of his own ethnicity, whatever. But yeah, so I haven't heard of this guy before, being told about him. Looks like he doesn't have too much of an internet presence. He's got a book out, as they all do. They've all got things for you to buy. So I just thought, well, there seems to be no comments either on this, and he's basically getting interviewed by a creator called Girls Chase podcast series, and they've got they probably have a different toss pot on every month or every week, and they you know, of course, tell you that money doesn't matter, looks doesn't matter, and all that stuff, that you can push the right emotional buttons and sleep with any woman you want, which we all know is a load of shit. So I'll read this little blurb here about what they're going to talk about, and then we'll listen, and I'll stop and interject as per usual. Alright, it says Michael Chief joins Girls Chase founder Chase Amante, never heard of him, in this interview following Mike's return to seduction. In the interview we discuss how Mike got his start in seduction. He started as a teenager in 2003. Okay. What his experience picking up women as a short, introverted Asian man has been. I can already tell you now it's been very, very bad, but we'll see what kind of lies he's going to say. Observations on introvert versus extrovert styles of game and approaching it. Makes no difference if you don't pass a basic looks test. Mike's experience as a coach and what he's observed in different clients. Okay. The secret to cold approaching girls without making it feel like an approach. I can tell you the secret: be good looking. The way Mike uses his position in the seduction community to intrigue and bed women. More bullshit, but I'm curious to hear what he has to say. Mike's exploration on feminism, feminist theory, and how it made him a better seducer. Doesn't, but anyway, we'll hear what he has to say. How discussing consent makes women feel safer. Yeah, broken clock theory. Yeah, always get consent when you're doing something with a lady. The importance of leadership. Alright, we're going in the alpha guru territory here. High value and all that shit. Mike's experience with the polyamory community. How it affects his pickups. If you don't know what polyamory is, it's where you basically, if you've got a partner, or even if you don't, you just basically sleep with as many people as you like whenever you like, and no one can say anything about it. Now, a lot of these PUAs can carry on a lot. like that Alex playing with himself. He carries on about how he's got this one-way open relationship where he can have as many girls as he wants, and the woman's just got to, basically take it up the bum and put up with him because he's such a high value, in demand guy. So it's absolute bullshit. Absolute. I don't know any woman that would put up with any of that shit. Maybe if he was Leonardo DiCaprio or someone, but not any of these morons. And he also discusses his new book, Never Lonely. I think we'll call this book Always Lonely. What's a good nickname for him too? Michael Grief, we'll call him. Michael Grief. And that's just about it for the little introduction blurb. So let's play this and see what this genius here has to say.
I'm on with Michael Chief, who has just come out of semi-retirement to release a brand new book on seduction called Never Lonely. Mike goes way back towards near the origins of the seduction community. He got into the community back in 2003, back when he was still a teenager, one of the early guys to jump in. And he's got a bunch of things he's known for. So he's known for getting good at dating, seduction, attraction as an introvert, as a short guy, as an Asian guy who lived mostly in the US. He's known for being able to approach without making it feel like approaching. He actually uses community leadership, both the experience and the status of being a leader in the pickup community, to become more masculine and attractive with more of the women that he's talking to. He's known for talking about polyamory, which has been a hot topic for, I guess, the past decade or so, but wasn't as known before then. He talks a lot about consent, which is a hot topic right now, and also about using feminism to disarm ASD, anti-slut defense. So,
to do what? To disarm what? Let me go.
And also about using feminism to disarm ASD.
Using womanism to disarm ASD. What? Autism spectrum disorder? What the fuck's he talking about, ASD? Hopefully he explains. I haven't heard that term before.
Slut defense. So let's jump into this. Anti-slut defense. So, and also about using feminism to disarm ASD. Anti-slut defense. So let's jump into this.
I don't know what he's on about then, but let's listen.
So Mike, welcome to the interview.
Thanks for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, so tell me about your background. How'd you get your start?
Yeah, like you said, thanks for the great intro. I started all the way back in 2003, and I guess the only thing I'll add here is that a lot of the older community members, they might know me for being the former head moderator of what was one of the biggest pickup artist forums back in the day, now defunct. I was also a moderator for Vindicarlo's forum back when it still existed. So I was mostly doing stuff online like that, but I was all...
So basically, this guy here got into the PUA scamming industry very early on. That's pretty much when it took off. Its infancy was probably in the 90s with people like Ross Jeffries and Mystery Method and stuff like that. But it was around about 2003 where it really got mainstream when that book, The Game, came out.
Also briefly the layer leader of the PUA layer in New Orleans, a little bit before 2010, I want to say. And I've been a dating coach for men ever since. I started liking girls at a really young age, right? So I remember having a crush on a girl when I was in maybe the first or second grade. And I guess I was just really drawn to feminine energy, or maybe just even the idea of the feminine, like, ever since.
That's because you're secretly gay.
But I was always shy, so I never really got any female attention. And it was around early middle school when I decided to ask my mom for some advice. I asked her why she loves my dad and how he got her to love him. And she told me something along the lines of, he told me that I was the only woman he loved, the only woman he could ever love. So this made me think that I had to profess my undying love, or what I thought was love, to every girl I had any interest in.
You got to remember, I'd dare say this guy got into this 2003 is probably about my age, probably somewhere between in 40s and 50s. Yeah, my age. He wouldn't be any younger than 40, I don't think. But our parents, if you're about 40, your parents was a different time, very, very different time in dating and courtship back then. Yes, you still did have to pass the basic looks test, which was a lot lower back then. Back then, if you were just, if you could get yourself to a 4 out of 10, which I pretty much am now, you were laughing. So if you could get yourself to about a 4 out of 10, stable job, back then women needed men, you were pretty much laughing.
And so I was desperate and needy and trying to be the nice guy all the time. Of course, this never worked. I was persistent, but I kept getting rejected.
You said there, you get advice about being nice and doing all this stuff, and his mum said, "Oh yeah, I was made to feel like a princess." Yeah, that can work if you pass a basic looks test. I mean, Chad can be as nice and as soppy and romantic as he likes, and he's going to get nothing but success. Sub 5 can do that and get nothing but failure. Sub 5 can try to be the, uncageable, untamable bad boy, and he's going to get nothing but failure. Chad can be the bad boy and get nothing but success. It's one thing they fail is the basic looks test. You never mind all these archetypes you can be. If you don't pass the basic looks test, it is game over, and there is absolutely nothing you can do about it.
Rejected over and over again, all during my formative years, which eventually made me super depressed. So I was actually depressed enough to try some things I probably shouldn't talk about here, but what made it even harder was that I was too ashamed to admit to adults that I was having all these emotional problems because I couldn't get girls. I know it sounds ridiculous, and the truth is, I thought I was unworthy of love. I thought I was worthless. I thought girls would always reject me because I'm short, ugly, Asian, or whatever characteristic I couldn't control. I was basically an incel before incels were a thing, and I had all the messed up mental crap that came with it. But around
And I'm willing to bet that you still are an inkwell, because all this shit that you're about to say that works does not work. And he sounds either American or Canadian. I can't tell the bloody difference. I thought this guy was Australian actually, for some reason, but no, it's not. So he's growing up in a Western country, and his demographic is definitely not high up on the list. Definitely not. He is going to have a little bit of niche maxing working for him, for the odd lady that does like his pheno, but no, I can already tell just by how he's described himself. Asian, introverted, and short. Just not. It's just not happening, buddy. He ain't going to be able to convince me otherwise. But let's hear him try.
2003, I found some seduction community material online, and I wasn't even looking for it. It was an ad for Double Your Dating by David D'Angelo, and that became my Bible. It blew my mind that I could actually
Double your dating. 00 is still 0, isn't it? Unless my maths off.
learn some skills that could help me get girls, and that could actually help me find love.
I'll just explain this. If you haven't heard of David D'Angelo, his whole shtick, his whole backbone of what he teaches is what he calls cocky and funny, where he kind of is one of these, speaking out of both sides of his mouth PUAs, where he says, "Oh, you don't need pickup lines. Pickup lines are for chumps. They don't work." And then in the next sentence, he's telling you a pickup line. "Oh, just say this. This is a cocky, funny line to say when women do this." So they're nothing but snake oil salesmen, and they're some of them are really good at it. But that's just a bit of a breakdown of this David D'Angelo. His whole thing's about cocky, funny, and like being a cheeky, smart ass as much as you can in a playful way around women, which is, not too bad in itself, like being cheeky and going for a bit of banter back and forward. But once again, if you don't like the look of you, I don't care how funny you are. It ain't fucking happening.
Of course, I had to get attraction first before getting love, right?
Yes, you do.
And ever since then, I've obsessively soaked up everything, tried everything, and after 20 years, I can confidently say now that I have a lot of love in my life and I'm never lonely.
Yeah, I remember those double your dating ads. Those were the first thing I saw related to seduction, too. I actually had the double your dating stuff downloaded on LimeWire back before I knew anything about the seduction community, and I kind of looked through some of it, and I was like, that would never work, and went back to sucking with women for a few more years.
To tell you the truth, I pirated that stuff, too. I was just a kid.
I guess a lot of us did. In a similar boat, I think a lot of guys go through that thing as teenagers where you're just screwing up with girls. Of course, you get the guys that are the jocks and the guys that are the naturals when they're young and they're just awash in,
We call them guys chads.
in pussy or what have you. And some of those guys continue on when they get older, and some of those guys just fall apart when they get older, too.
Yeah, I recently read this book called Men Who Hate Women, and there was a feminist writer talking about how the PUA community, they kind of trick young boys into thinking that you need some kind of psychological hacks to get girls, and she's saying that for a lot of these young men, it's like a rite of passage that just kind of passes as you get mature, and you're going to have less romantic problems as you get older. But I was thinking, no, for a lot of us, these problems are really persistent, and they actually do need help from resources like us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Geez, these guys are really good at selling hope. The bottom line is that none of the shit these guys teach actually works. It all sounds good in theory. Oh yeah, you need help, we can help you. We've done all the trial and error, etc., etc. But it just doesn't fucking work, mate. These guys know it. I'm sure when they got into it, they most of them thought, oh yeah, this is going to work. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. I'm going to get ladies. And then they find out after a few months it doesn't work. So 99.9% of people just say, oh, bugger this shit, it doesn't work, and they just, just don't worry about it anymore. But that 0.1%, like this idiot, turns into like a PUA guru. They're thinking, that narcissistic mindset kicks in, and they think, I can make a lot of money doing this. Yeah, this shit doesn't work, but look how many guys believe it worked. Look how many followers so-and-so has and so-and-so has. I must be making heaps, mate. I can make lots and lots of money. Then I can get the ladies want to make lots and lots of money. And so these guys are basically the scum of the bloody earth.
This is probably different between you and me, but I almost never talk about this stuff with women. But when I do, the reaction a lot of times is women are like, guys don't need that. Like, guys are fine. Like, they just follow their instincts. And because what's happening is, and you see the same thing from the men's side, because men and women don't get the full picture. The men that women are dealing with are guys that know what to do with girls. Because if they didn't know what to do with girls, they wouldn't be approaching. They wouldn't be asking these girls out on dates. So they're guilty of selection bias, where they're getting a sampling of men, but the sampling they're getting is guys that have got it all figured out. Or guys that got
the sample they're getting is guys that pass the looks test. And we all know, with all the stats out there that like 50 to 60% of the guys out there ain't passing the looks test. So, them guys, it doesn't matter what angle you take, doesn't matter which one of these gurus that you buy their stuff and learn it word for word verbatim, it doesn't matter. It's not going to work.
figured out enough that they can at least get dates, get in front of these women. And then the same thing happens with, you see a lot of angry guys online, and they're like, oh, women have it so easy, blah, blah, blah. And they're doing the same thing. Like the women that they see, they've got selection bias going on there. But yeah, a lot of guys need this stuff a lot more than realize it, unfortunately. So in the intro, we talked about you being short, introverted Asian, and I just want to say that you are not the only short, introverted Asian playboy in the U.S. that I've known. I've had a couple of friends, and some of them are pretty good. But what was your experience like? I mean, you talked about it when you were younger, but did you find it to be these things that you're listing out as qualities that would distinguish you? Are they handicaps, being short, Asian, introverted in the U.S.? Or
they are 100% handicaps, and there is nothing he can do about it.
Or were they not really handicaps?
So being short, by the way, I'm about 5'5", not even 170 centimeters tall.
5'5's not too bad for an Asian height.
Being short, being introverted, being Asian. So all those things have definitely proven to be handicaps in the United States for me. Not just for me, but for anyone else who shares those characteristics. But in a strange way, I feel grateful to have these handicaps, if you know what I mean. They made me who I am today. Like, you know that Johnny Cash song, A Boy Named...
So you're grateful for being short and Asian. So if God came down and gave you a button to press, you can stay the same, or you can become a 6'4", Scandinavian chiseled jawed Chad with a full head of hair. You'd just stay the same because you're grateful. Okay.
Sue?
I've heard it.
Yeah. So for the day, like, you know that Johnny Cash song, A Boy Named Sue?
I've heard it.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, in that song, A Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash, the story is basically this boy, he gets named Sue, which is a woman's name in the US, by his father. And his father just leaves to go buy some milk and never comes back. And throughout his whole life, this boy, he gets bullied because he has a woman's name. And because he gets bullied, he gets angry and he toughens up and he turns into like such a macho guy. And he resolves to find his father to get revenge, right? And in the end, after all this long journey that he went through, he finds his father and he puts a gun to his head and he's like, "You named me Sue." And the father's like, "Son, I'm so proud of you, the man you become, you've toughened up. I couldn't be there for you for whatever reason, and I named you Sue so that you can become stronger." And so it was kind of a...
Congratulations, you know the whole storyline of a Johnny Cash song. And?
kind of a beautiful message at the end, right? So what I got from that, and also from my experiences, is that our adversities define us. Hardship builds character.
No, hardship in this instance can build trauma. If you go out and get rejected time after time, 100, 200, 300 times, it doesn't make you tougher or harder. It really does play on you and wear you down.
I honestly think that if I were tall, white, and handsome, my game would not be as good as it is today.
That's probably the biggest load of shit that he's said so far. If he was tall, white, and handsome, he would be swimming in clunge. And we all know game doesn't matter, so his game's going to be equally as useless. He's just going to be a good-looking guy and getting results, because us BP'd people know that that's all that matters, really. If you pass a looks test, then just don't do anything stupid. Say anything stupid, you ren. Fucking hell. He's a bit of a tosspot, this bloody chief guy.
And I think that I would probably be a less interesting person overall, in my opinion. Now, that's not to say that all tall white men are boring or anything like that. What I'm saying is that if you embrace the challenges and hardships that you face in life, if you work to overcome the obstacles in front of you instead of just giving in to learned helplessness and self-victimization, you're going to turn yourself into one hell of a masculine man. And that's going to be super attractive to women. However,
All right, we're getting into the guru, alpha guru type stuff now. I'm a pretty masculine looking guy, very solid build, tall, got a like that Eddie Hall kind of build, like a fat but muscly underneath. And Warman, couldn't give two shits about that. Even when in my heyday, I used to think, oh yeah, if I could, go around and bench press 200, 240 kilos and stuff like that, and I used to think, oh yeah, that'll trigger that caveman instinct of them of protection and providing and looking after them. They couldn't give a shit, mate. I've seen some really, almost shirt lifting, very camp looking guys, like Chad looking guys with absolute stunners. That's all that matters. You can be a nerd, you can be an alpha. It doesn't matter. If you pass a looks test, you're in. Everything else doesn't matter. Everything else comes second. Where these guys try to say that looks don't mean nothing, that comes last. That's 10th on the list of 10. It just doesn't work that way, and anyone that's went out and tried to do any of this stuff is going to learn that. The only minority of people that might not are the genuinely attractive guys that might be a bit socially awkward, and these guys can just teach them, oh yeah, just go out and have a crack. Basically, that's all these guys are saying. Oh, go out and have a crack, and they might actually think that it's this stuff doing it when it's actually looks doing it.
I do want to say some specific things about being short, being introverted, and being Asian, because there's a lot of unique challenges that come with that territory. In terms of being short, first things first, if you're a short guy, you have to hit the gym. We short dudes have this genetic advantage of being able to build muscle in an aesthetically pleasing way faster than tall guys.
Hitting the gym is good for your overall health. Makes no fucking difference. Face comes before body every time. I can tell you now, if you're a 5'5" skinny, like little runt with a Chad face, and I've seen these people around too, you're still going to slay. If you're like a 6'7" or an 8 face, you're still going to do okay. Your height, yeah, will have a little bit of an impact, but you'll yeah, I've known many a shorter guy, but as long as you've got that Chad face, you're okay. You'll be all right. But yeah, just yeah, if you're like a 3 or a 4 out of 10 and you hit the gym, all you're going to be is a 3 or 4 out of 10 with muscles. It isn't going to do anything for you. It might impress the other guys in the gym with your physique. That's about it.
And also, talk to enough women and you'll find that your height is a non-issue the majority of the time. Even if they say they prefer taller dudes, which they almost always do, you can still seduce and date most of them. And in terms of being...
Oh, come on, mate, with that word seduce. You cannot seduce someone. It's all of that stuff is subconscious and out of your control. You can present yourself in the best possible light. And then if a lady doesn't find you attractive, that's it. It's game over. It literally is. It's as binary as that. Game over. Move on. Do not hang around. But that's what these guys do. They hang around and they call it ploughing through crap tests, which doesn't work. And no wonder some of these guys get themselves arrested just from hanging around and harassing ladies. They've really got no idea. So trust me, if you're listening to this, no such thing as seduction. You cannot do it. You cannot say or act in a certain way to elicit feelings of lust and attraction from a lady. You can't do it.
Introverted, I have so much to say about this that it's hard to pick out the most important points, but I do want to say that I might not come off as an introvert, but I am. I'm just super passionate about this topic and could ramble all day about it. And just off the top of my head, let me tell you the story about time I went clubbing with two well-known pickup artists named Adam Lyons and Richard La Ruina. I was kind of working for PUA training at
Adam Lyons, heard of him, don't know him. Richard La Ruina is the gambler. The gambler, like, this guy is actually probably about a solid 7 out of 10 tall. I believe he's about 6'2" to 6'3", probably even 6'4", I think. This guy's basically a tall Chad light, and his whole thing was he's British, and his whole thing was just every weekend going on an hour flight to Odessa or Lithuania or something, and going over there and absolutely cleaning up with the locals using JBW and passport game. But that guy genuinely is a really, really, really good looking guy. Just look him up. Just type in PUA gambler. I might even do this. And oh, bugger it, I might do it. I'll see what happens. I might do it now. Gambler. Now, you have a look at this this turkey here. He's not a bad looking bloke. Not a bad looking bloke whatsoever. Let's have a good look. Yeah, quite tall. JBW working for him, good body. You look at him here, he's anyway, yeah, you can stop and bloody zoom in if you really want. But basically, yeah, he's not a bad looking bloke, and I hope OBS captured all this actually. How long have we done? 30 minutes. It's all right. Yeah. So yeah, basically, yeah, he's going to clean up no matter what. Let's continue.
Time, and I was helping out with one workshop and one boot camp, I mean. And as we all went to the club, I decided to kind of sit back and observe Adam Lyons and Richard Lauruina, like how they do game. And Adam Lyons is like the most introverted guy I've ever seen in my entire life. So he was like bouncing around sets, showing all the clients like every kind of opener and just getting all the attention and eyeballs. But Richard,
when they say bouncing around sets, they call a one or more just at any target or whatever they've got a grouping of women sets.
Just and just getting all the attention and eyeballs. But Richard, like in my entire life, so he was like bouncing around sets, showing all the clients like every kind of opener and just getting all the attention and eyeballs. But Richard just disappeared. Richard just disappeared. I didn't know where he went. So my eyes were on Adam, everyone's eyes were on Adam, and Richard was just like kind of a ninja in the background who we don't know where he went. But as I'm talking to like one of my wingmen or like one of the other coaches, all of a sudden out of nowhere, just Richard just pops up and he's got these two gorgeous women with him and he's like, "Hey, I'm back." And he just like hands off the women to us and he just disappeared.
Now, I dare say they're not going to, like, this Richard guy probably is capable of getting the attention of two women and walking around with them, but I dare say for these PUA boot camps and shit, they normally always pay women, they pay models to be there at a certain place, certain time, so they can show off their fake prowess to the students, to the paying students. So when they pay their $5 and see all this stuff working, and when they ask for their money back, when they go out and do it and it doesn't work, they can say, hey, I went out, you seen me do it, you're just not applying yourself. Remember, these PUAs, whenever it doesn't work, it's your fault. That's their whole motto. They are not accountable for anything. If it doesn't work, it's your fault.
Here's again. So it was then I realized, like, no matter where you are, even if you're in a loud club, there's an extroverted way to do things successfully, and there's an introverted way to do things successfully too. And in terms of being Asian, so in the American psyche, being Asian is stereotypically seen as less masculine. That's just the reality of it. So the two groups that probably have the hardest time with dating in the US are Asian men and black women. And that's because Asian men are seen as less masculine and black women are seen as less feminine. It's all stereotypes, right? However, like I say in my book, you can be even more attractive if you leverage contrast. If I present myself...
Oh, here's another bit of PUA psychobabble, leveraging contrast. I think he's about to explain it, but just from him saying that, I've got no fucking idea what he means.
In a clear if you leverage contrast. If I present myself in a clearly masculine way, the supposed feminine impression that me being Asian gives will actually make my masculine presentation more masculine.
Yeah. What a load of absolute bullshit there, mate. All right, so being masculine, so that's all it takes. So how come whenever I go out and I'm just walking down the street, big solid, 6 foot 120 kilo bloke, how come I just don't get ladies throwing themselves at me? I'm masculine. I'm quite easily, in most places I go, I'm like the biggest, strongest guy there. How come I'm not getting them throwing them at me? It's an absolute load of crap, mate. I hate how they try to tell guys that they can overcome their shortcomings just by learning a few pickup lines. It just doesn't work that way. Jesus, these guys are so full of shit.
And just listening to you, you can hear the masculinity coming through in your voice.
Oh, thank you so
The
much.
way you speak,
Come on.
you know, you got a deep voice. You take pauses at the right times. You're not in a rush. You're not hurrying. It's a thing that you'll see with some guys that are new in the space. They'll be trying to rush everything out as fast as possible because they don't want to get cut off.
There we go. There's a little caveat there. You know, if it's not working for you, you must be rushing it. Your voice isn't deep enough. You know, that's what I mean. Like, they'll tell you what to do, and then they'll give you 50 reasons why what you are doing isn't working. Very, 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 very clever sales technique, and then that's all this is. That they're just it's no better than a Ponzi scam, a Ponzi scheme type thing. It's just a complete fucking scam, and a lot of lonely guys are still falling for this shit.
They go up to talk to a girl and they're just.
I actually thought I was rushing this entire time because, like, I'm a little nervous about this interview. I want to give a good impression to your audience.
I think you're doing a good job of that.
Thank you so much.
And you know, I had a few comments on you covered a lot of really great stuff there. And just to add in some of my own thoughts, you know, we were talking about Richard and Adam. Adam is the extroverted guy, and Richard just going off and coming back, and he's got a couple of hot girls with him. For a while, I was doing boot camps in San Diego with a very extroverted, outgoing party guy like Adam. And he would go out and he'd get this big circle of girls, and they'd all be jumping up and down really excited. And we would take clients out, and first they'd be really wowed with everything that my partner was getting going on with all these girls. They'd be going crazy. And they'd be like, wow, he's so good. But then at the end of the night, the guy that was getting girls into these deep conversations or pulling girls out of the club was me. And so after a couple of sessions, the guys would start to figure that out. And they'd be like, it's really cool, the stuff that he's doing, but can you teach me how to get these girls to leave the club with me the way that you're doing?
More bullshit, 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 bullshit.
And we realized that there's a different strategy where one is getting a lot of attention and the other one is focused on achieving that result where you got the connection going on and you're pulling the girl out of there.
So now they're trying to just advertise themselves to different groups of people. If you're the big leery extrovert, buy this guy's course. If you're the introvert, buy this other guy's course.
And in that way, introverts have an advantage because the extrovert, you know, his thing is he's got to stop himself from bouncing around from girl to girl and being too entertaining to get a seductive vibe going on.
Yeah, totally.
So you're
all this extroverted guy is going to be is a jester. If he's not to be found attractive, that's all you are. If you don't pass the looks test, you're no more than a jester maxer. You're just humiliating yourself.
working with PUA training before, so I'd be curious about your experiences coaching. Have you had mostly Asian clients, short guy clients, introverts, or has it just been a mix of different guys? Do guys with some traits have it harder than other guys? What's been your experience working with students?
In terms of Asian versus non-Asian, it's been about half and half, and I think that's just a coincidence. So I don't go out of my way to market myself as an Asian dating coach specifically, even though I do mention it in passing here and there. If people pay attention, they know I'm Asian, but a lot of community members have just assumed I'm white because that's just kind of the default, you know. I probably do get a slightly higher proportion of Asian clients compared to most other dating coaches, though, since the ones who reach out to me do so because they feel like we have something in common, right? In terms of like the height, though, what's interesting to note, I think, pretty much every client I've had has been about my height or taller. It's not a surprise since I'm actually below average height. But it's interesting to see guys who are taller than me dealing with insecurities about their height, even if they're taller than most women. It does help them to know that I'm shorter than them and I still get success, so I guess that's been helpful for them.
You're lying, mate. You're not still getting success. You might get the odd. I mean, I don't realize. I've just got a cartoon picture of this guy here, but just if his life story is true and he had to learn all this, you know, come to the internet to learn all this seduction stuff, I'm guessing he's definitely a sub 5. So, yeah.
And like I said, guys with these traits, they do have it harder, but being short, introverted, or Asian, it's just a drop in the bucket compared to their mindset.
Once again, they're trying to say, oh, well, yeah, looks don't matter, it's all about mindset. You can be short, you can be tall, you can be this, it's all about your mindset, brah. But we all know that's complete crap. Looks get you in the door, Looks are pretty much all that matter. Personality, as I said, as long as you're not a real evil bastard or just a dickhead or an idiot, it's the rest is history. The rest is just going to happen naturally.
Bad inner game holds them back a million times the bucket compared to their mindset. Bad inner game holds them back a million times more than...
Inner game. Now that's an oldie you haven't heard in a while. With these PUAs, they have outer game and inner game. Where outer game, they say, is like all the pickup lines they teach, and then your inner game's your confidence, personality, holding frame, all that kind of alpha guru shit. And once again, it's another way of them telling you it's your fault, because if you fail, it's either your inner game or your outer game. Oh, your confidence, your inner game was good, but your outer game was a bit sloppy. Oh, your outer game was good, but your inner game isn't quite there yet. Buy this new product I've got, and it'll get better. That's what these cheese sticks are basically all about. Inner game doesn't exist. The male and female attraction is primarily and first and foremostly based on looks.
Anything else. It's almost like being short, introverted, or Asian is negligible. Once they realize that, though, and really put themselves out there, they often find that the principle of contrast kicks in, and all of a sudden they get some really great results really fast. It's like they approach a girl confidently, and she's thinking, why is this guy so smooth and confident even when he's this short? And it makes them like...
They're not thinking that. Most likely, if you look like this guy, you're going to be rejected before you open your mouth. It's absolute bullshit. It's either hit or miss. The second they turn around and see you when you're about 3 meters away or so, walking up to approach them, they either know they want to talk to you or they don't. Then what you say after that's meaningless.
Kind of more curious and more interested sometimes. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. You know, one of my buddies in San Diego who was Asian and short, I think shorter than you were, is probably 5'3" or 5'4".
Wow.
But not introverted. He's kind of the opposite in that he was not aware of these things as handicaps until he'd been picking up girls for a while, and somebody started talking to him about like, oh, is it hard because you're Asian or you're short? Like, I have such a hard time because I'm Asian. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he just doesn't want to think about it or talk about it because he's like, that's like a limiting belief. I don't want to hear about it or think about it.
Yes, his PUA game is strong. So all these other things, he never had to think about his shortcomings because his PUA game is so strong. Never had to worry about them before. Absolute load of shit. Absolute load of crap. What did you say? They never had to
about it, because if I think about it, just hurts until he'd been picking up girls for a while, and somebody started talking to him about like, oh, is it hard because you're Asian or you're short? Like, I have such a hard time because I'm Asian. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he just doesn't want to think about it or talk about it because he's like, that's like a limiting belief. I don't want to hear about it or think about it because if I think about it.
Limiting belief, that's more PUA lingo, where they try to teach you to overcome your limiting beliefs. Like limiting beliefs 99% of the time are true. Like if you go out saying, oh, I'm really overweight, it's going to stop me from attracting women. It's true. Or I'm bald, less women are going to like me. It's true. Where these PUAs will say, oh, nah, you've got to have this inner game mindset of all that stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you're a balding ethnic 3 out of 10. That doesn't matter. That's all in your inner game, your mindset. And if you go up to someone and it doesn't, if you approach a lady and it doesn't work, then it's definitely not your looks or anything. It's your mindset. The way they gaslight the men is just absolutely ridiculous. And this stuff here, as I said, has long-lasting effects, has a lot of trauma attached to it as well, and you just can't go around doing this stuff for too long getting no results. And these guys here don't give a shit about your welfare, your mental health. They just want your money.
He's afraid he's going to like poison his thoughts. He's like, I don't need to think about that stuff. I just go up to talk to girls and everything goes fine. Sure, there's some sort of objective quality to it, but so much more of it is subjective. Like if you're not worried about things, it's hard for them to impact you.
Yeah, that sounds like a totally valid strategy. I kind of took the opposite way by kind of embracing it. And so sometimes I use a little bit of self-deprecating humor, like, oh, so I'm Asian, I make these kind of self-racist jokes. And like, oh, I'm short, so I kind of call myself a Christmas elf or whatever. But like, I'm still doing
That is what we call jester maxing.
it confidently, where it's clear to the women that I just don't give a shit, you know? Or I don't give a crap if I'm not allowed
And neither do they.
to swear.
Yeah, so you're just owning it.
But yeah, your friend's strategy, I think that's totally valid as well. You could just go either way.
Yeah, the important part is whichever way you're going, I hate to use the word confident because it's like, but that's what it is. It's confidence, ultimately. Mm-hmm. It's the frame that you're setting. So tell me about approaching without making it feel like approaching, which is one of the things that you're known for.
Yeah, so this is one of the many, many things. Well, I guess like every concept that I teach, I can't take full credit because, everything is from something else, right? So back in the day, I did some collaboration with a pickup artist named 60 Years of Challenge. You probably heard of him. I think a lot of community guys heard of him. And
yeah, sure. I used to talk to him back in the day.
Yeah, nice. Oh, me too. I have him on Skype. He's probably one of our shared contacts. And he had this concept called social momentum, and I think he put it so nicely. And basically, for those of you who are listening and don't know this concept, social momentum is basically listening to your social impulses so that whenever you find yourself in a situation where you think you might be able to interject socially or say hello to someone, you're going to have one side of you saying, hey, yeah, go ahead and do that. But another side of you saying, don't bother them. And if you just listen to that first side and just do all the small social things that your brain tells you that you can kind of do, it builds up what's called social momentum. So for example, if you're on your way to the bar and you pass by someone who looks like they're having fun and you give them a high five, right? Or you pass by someone who's wearing something cool and you want to give them a compliment, you just give them a compliment and you just keep going. And
what he's explaining there is just quite simply more jester maxing. It's not going to get you anywhere. If the woman doesn't find you attractive, you're just basic, at best, entertainment, and at worst, you're going to be harassing them.
Eventually, if you listen to those social impulses and build that social momentum, you'll often find yourself in conversations with random people and you're like thinking, I don't know how I got here. And sometimes you'll realize in the middle of a conversation, hey, this is a woman that I'm attracted to. And like you didn't even realize it. So in that way, you can approach without feeling like you're approaching, and they don't know you're approaching either. And so I kind of took this concept, and the way that I kind of made it my own is that if I'm in a bar or club or any place where I go out to meet women, I do something that I call planting seeds, right? And I bet a lot of other people do this, and they probably call it something else. But what it basically involves is I am approaching or opening. Of course, by this point, it doesn't feel like approaching. Like I could just say something to somebody in passing. If I'm walking to the bar, I see a girl with cool earrings. I say cool earrings. She says thanks or whatever, but I just keep walking. And I do this with like as many sets as possible, right? But I'm not.
So he walks into the club and jester maxes as much as possible. And what's going to happen here is maybe the odd woman here and there has a thing for Asian guys and he's going to get lucky. Either that or it's just complete bullshit. Take your pick either way, it's not working.
Not staying in there. I'm not trying to like pick anyone up. I'm just kind of doing these random compliments, random hellos. And if I reopen them, it kind of feels like they already know who I am. I already know who they are. So it's like not a cold approach at that point. And so if you take that sort of approach by utilizing social momentum, approaching will not feel like approaching.
Technique you just described there will not work once again. I know I'm like a broken record. It won't work unless you pass a basic looks test. All these techniques mean nothing if you aren't found attractive. And we all know now that about 80% of guys aren't found attractive. This guy's going to be in that group. I don't care how many times you walk past and jester max, if they don't like the look of you, it ain't going to work.
So I've heard that called shotgun opening, but yeah, it's a great concept, and it allows you to just meet girls without the pressure of that initial approach. Once you're circling back again, reopening, much smoother way of getting into it.
Yeah, so like these days, I really can't say like how many approaches did I do? Like, I don't know, 0?
So you're mostly doing social venues, I assume, nightlife, parties, things like that. A little harder to do that with street game, for instance. So one thing we talked about earlier, with this whole seduction stuff. Personally, this is something that I try and avoid talking about with people in general as much as possible. It's like I just treat it like I'm in the mafia. There's this area of my life that it's better if you don't know about. But you are the opposite. So you will talk about this with women. You wear it kind of as a feather in your cap. Can you talk about how you use that and how you leverage it for attraction?
So all of this PUA stuff is a core part of who I am. I made myself into a seducer over the course of 2 decades. I believe that the best way to attract women must involve authentic expression. If I show women who I really am, that is fundamentally going to involve letting them know my greatest passion, which is women. When I tell women about this stuff, I'm not ashamed. I don't see pickup artistry as trickery or coercion or
That's exactly what it is. You're attempting to trick and coerce and manipulate, but it ain't working because it doesn't fucking work.
manipulation. And I'm proud of the fact that I've earned these skills that I practiced over years and years. Also, not many women have the chance to talk to a man who can talk about a potentially taboo passion with an unapologetic enthusiasm. It's oftentimes
My opinion of this is if you walk up to a lady and start saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a pickup artist, I learn all this stuff." That's even if they've got a little bit of attraction, if they're attracted to you, you're just going to take yourself out of the game by talking about all this shit. That's not going to impress them. It's not going to turn them on. They're just going to think you're a creep, you're a freak, and you're a weirdo. Don't do it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for this guy either. This guy, as well as all the other dickheads out there, are just some of the biggest bullshit artists in the world. Gee, they are so good at believing their own shit. This guy here is such a big bullshit artist. He's up there with the best of them. It just doesn't work. You can't talk your way or have a certain mindset, or I mean, you can walk in the door of a nightclub with all this knowledge, with all this bullshit knowledge, feeling like $1,000,000, all this alpha guru mindset, lock eyes with a woman, walk up and approach her, and if she doesn't find you attractive, it is game over. Before you even open your mouth, she has decided whether it's going to be on or off. So all this potential stuff that you're learning that is just bullshit means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Please don't listen to these dickheads or give them a cent of your money.
very alluring. It piques their curiosity. I also noticed that it makes some women assume that I'm very sexually experienced, since it gives me an air of sexual confidence. So not only does this make them more attracted to me because women are just more attracted to men who know what they're doing, and it makes them think that I'm probably more likely to give them an orgasm, it also activates pre-selection. So all in all, I don't see the down.
Pre-selection, there's another PUA bullshit fucking cope bloody manipulation tactic. All these high value alpha gurus talk about this pre-selection. I'll get in that to a second. Something else I wanted to talk about. What was it? Yeah, if you go around telling just random women that you study how to pick them up and seduce them, they're just going to fucking laugh at you. Don't do it. All right, pre-selection is the theory that women find what other women find attractive. So they used to say a good technique was to go to a club either with a woman or just find a decent looking girl there and just even just walk to the bar, buy her a drink, and then just walk past the woman that you're really interested in, and then like swap sets. And because they don't know that that other girl's just using you for a drink or just a friend, but so it's all bullshit anyway. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I've done many times. I've had friends with partners or whatever. I've been working as a bouncer, security, and hanging around the hot bar girls and things like that. And not once has it helped me attract a lady. Not once. It's just pure manipulation bullshit they're trying to sell you. Don't listen to it.
Side of letting women know that I'm a dating coach who studied and practiced seduction. If they assume that I'm one of those misogynistic red pill PUAs who try to trick women or bypass consent in any way, they'd be wrong, and I'd be able to explain. And if they judge me for the wrong reasons, I don't care. I can just move on and find someone who does understand.
So you bring up the idea of consent or objections, misogyny, and one of the things you talk about, several of the things you talk about polyamory, consent, feminism, sort of some hot topics in this modern progressive era. So can you tell me how you use these to your advantage and how they work into your overall seduction strategy?
Oh yeah, I knew you were going to ask me about this. Specifically, feminism. I'll hone in on that one, because that seems to be the most controversial one. But to preface that, I want to say that I am a student of psychology at heart. And one thing I've always been fascinated with is how changing something psychologically will affect the results you get in the outside world. In the PUA community, that translates to inner game, basically. If you change something about your inner game, that's going to affect how you naturally express yourself and the vibe you give off, which affects how women feel around you. And inner game is all about beliefs, attitudes,
Inner games, I've already covered it. Inner games, complete bullshit. And have to skip along a bit. It's already been about an hour. This guy's just talking absolute shit. Fuck, he can just talk and talk and talk. The only thing you can improve to attract a lady is your looks. There you go. It's really is as simple as this. These guys just come up with so much absolute bullshit so they can just make money and rip you off. These guys just want to rip you off.
Perspectives, it's time to, even if he doesn't use the same labels. For example, if you truly believe that it's unfair and unjust how society shames women for having sex while praising men for doing the same, and you tell that to women, that's going to lower anti-slut defense. That's going to make them feel like it's safe to have sex with you. And if you express any other similar feminist thoughts about social justice or anything like that, even if it has nothing to do with sexual framing, she's going to feel more comfortable and open to show you her true self because you're going to make her feel safe.
That's very cool. And so along those...
All right, I think that's what they meant with ASD, anti, 304 defense. It's what did Mystery call it? Last minute resistance. If you're getting any resistance, stop. Don't do anything. Obviously, there's consent issues there. You don't want to breach consent. So once again, a small manipulation, bullshit talk that doesn't matter anyway. Because if a lady likes the look of you, it's on. I've seen it that many times. Good looking Chad walks in, and within about 5 minutes, he can just take her out to the alleyway, do what he wants with her. If you're getting any kind of resistance or defense, move on. It's not going to happen. It's over. That's what he was talking about there.
Lines, we also had the topic of consent. Is that basically the same thing as feminism, or is that a separate concept that you go into?
So of course it has huge ties to it, right? And you could say that if you express thoughts about proper consent, it's the same as kind of expressing feminism, yeah. Specifically though, the Me Too movement, it kind of killed our industry. Some of us might be bitter about that.
Awesome. I'm upset it did kill the industry completely.
But I actually learned a lot from that. Since my priority is love and I love women, I truly want to make this world a safer place for women, which is why I, really got into caring about this topic.
Oh, sure you did. What a fucking bullshit artist. Self-centered prick. What a load of shit.
And which is why I dedicate one chapter of my book, probably the longest chapter of my book, to consent and like how to follow that, how to navigate that. And so if I talk about that with women, that also makes them feel more comfortable around me. And yeah, I think it does increase my success rate as well.
Awesome. And can you talk to me a little bit about polyamory and how you can either tell me about how you're setting those relationships up or tell me about how...
All right, we're going to hear about how much of a big stud this guy is. You know, how many clunges he's got on the go that are all just clamping out and screaming for him, for his little Asian chode.
You're using that in your seduction process. Does it help you with seducing women?
You know how leadership and masculinity are really, really connected, right?
Of course.
So I became the leader of my local polyamory community inadvertently, because when I moved around here, I was looking for a group like this. It didn't exist, so I just made it because I just wanted to be part of that community. And from practicing leadership, not only does it make my relationships richer and more satisfying, it makes you just more attractive overall based on just the habits that you take on from leadership, as well as the status you get from being a leader and people looking up to you, right? So the polyamory community, I know I'm not directly answering your question yet, which was about polyamory, but I'm talking about community leadership. Through being the leader of a community, you will become more masculine. So I totally recommend anyone listening in to, take up lead.
Once again, being a leader or being masculine does nothing to do with your attraction levels. It probably does matter once you pass the basic looks test, but if you're the kind of guy that's getting no results, like starting a club and becoming the president or being, a senior volunteer or anything like that, it ain't going to do a bloody thing for you, mate. I'm sorry, guys out there, but the first hurdle you have to pass is that looks test, and it's the most important one.
Positions as much as possible. It's one of the most important things I think you can do to be your most attractive self. And to go back to your question about polyamory itself, it makes it harder to get women. It totally makes it harder to get women, because if you're a polyamorous man who's attracted to women, you're competing with men who are not polyamorous for women who are probably also not polyamorous yet. And so it lowers my success rate, because if I tell women I'm poly, some of them will be like, I am totally not poly, that's not what I'm looking for. And then, I can't go anywhere from there, which is fine though, because they're not what I'm looking for either. I'm prioritizing the lifestyle I want to build over just getting laid, because I've had enough sex already. And what a lot of these poly guys don't realize is that they have to step up their seduction game if they want any chance, right? So while it has made it harder on the kind of lead capture end, it's honestly made me happier overall, because I have the types of relationships that I want, and because polyamory is all about being honest with people also, and making sure that everyone understands the kinds of relationships that you have and what you're looking for. I'm never hiding anything. I can just live freely and be myself.
So out of curiosity, why do you choose to say I'm polyamorous instead of saying something like, well, I'm not looking for a serious relationship right now?
First of all, if something evolves into a serious relationship, that's absolutely something that I would be looking for. I am polyamorous philosophically and everything. I call myself polyamorous because the definition of polyamory is the capacity to love multiple people at the same time, romantic love, right? And also to practice, open communication about that. And that philosophy really vibes with me, because when I was trying to...
This guy's living in dreamland, mate. If he thinks everyone's, going to believe all this crap, this little short sub-5 Asian guy has got this little poly harem. And he's talking about this too because he knows it's going to pique the attention of his listeners, that if they learn all the stuff that he's teaching, they can have their own little poly harem and just, sleep with whoever they want when they want. And as we all know, if you're listening to this content, that's not how it works. The only person that can do that is Chad. Chad can do it. You and me can't, but Chad can.
Be monogamous, and I was in monogamous relationships. I kind of felt like society was making me feel guilty, because I still had feelings and love for other women as well. And they kind of made me question, like, is this real love? And people would look at that and say that's not true love. And that kind of cheapens what I was actually feeling. What I was feeling was actually love. I loved the girlfriends I had at the time, but it didn't mean that I loved them any less if I was attracted to other people, or even if I loved other people. And it was because of that I realized, hey, this thing called polyamory might be the way that I need to go. Now, I know that's not for everyone. Some people want to be monogamous, and some people want to stay single for life and not have serious relationships and just want to get laid. That's fine. I've been through all those stages too. But as I got older, I realized, this love thing was the whole reason I got into pickup in the first place. And I wanted an abundance of love. And polyamory
I think that's why most guys, look up and find the pickup scene, because they want to just meet a girl, fall in love, have kids, and just have a happy, quiet life. You might have that 10% of guys that just want to be just total studs and go out there and hump everything that moves. But most guys in the world are just want to find it, just a nice average girl to settle down with. And these guys are trying to say you can have it all, whether you want a fast mating life strategy or a slow life mating strategy. Whether you want to be a player or a hubby, you can just have it all. Once you learn all these tips, tricks, and techniques, you can basically have it all at your beck and call anytime you want, and in as much as abundance as you want. And when you're very narrow-minded too and younger, and all you're thinking about is girls, these guys are more likely to slip into your fucking subconscious and trick you and get you to buy their stuff and listen and believe them. But as you get older, once you go out and start doing a bit of it, you learn pretty quick. It's a big crock of fucking bullshit. But nearly at the end of this little interview, so I'll keep playing it, I guess.
is where I found it.
It's interesting. It makes sense. So, out of curiosity, if someone wants to join your polyamory group, do all the women have to sleep with you as sort of a rite of passage?
No, I'm not a cult leader. So actually, in my in my local poly group where I'm the leader, I try hard to not sleep with the members. Because I actually want to build like a friendly community without any drama. And I mostly sleep with women who are not within my community, but like random women I find outside the community who are not yet poly. And if I find the potential for them to be poly, I can seduce them into...
Oh, here we go. His game's so good. The force is so strong with this one that he can manipulate, straight and narrow, women that are on the straight and narrow to be a little poly deviants. Of course it is. Fucking bullshit artist.
To polyamory. And then I can invite them into my group if they are like cool enough to be in our group. And if I find the potential for them to be poly, I can seduce them into polyamory. And then I can invite them into my group if they are like cool enough to be in our group. But my group itself is not my feeding grounds.
Awesome. It's very responsible. So finally, let's talk about your book, Never Lonely. So what is it about? Who is it for? Who should get it? What benefits are they going to get out of reading?
You may as well rename that book Always Lonely.
Whatever you want to tell us about it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for this question. So my book's title is Never Lonely, The Uncensored Guide on How to Attract and Be Loved.
Always Lonely.
Loved by women. And it's called Never Lonely because when I was
always lonely
starting out, loneliness was pretty much the source of all my suffering. And when I finally figured all this stuff out and met so many women and experienced love so many times, I got to...
Bullshit. Made up stories and bullshit.
To a point of real abundance. And I'm so happy with my love life, dating life, sex life, or whatever you want to call it, because now I'm never lonely. Of course, since I'm an introvert, there's lots of times I want to be alone, but being alone and being lonely aren't the same thing. I'm pretty much just never alone when I don't want to be alone, and that's what matters. It's something I've gotten under control. It's a choice for me. And I wrote this book so that others can also escape that pain of loneliness and make it a choice for themselves as well. The most flattering reviews I've gotten so far say that my book is similar to Zan Perion's The Alabaster Girl, but that mine is kind of more practical while Zan's is more flowery. And it was a huge honor to hear that kind of comparison, because I reference The Alabaster Girl a lot in my own book, and Zan Perion is one of my biggest influences philosophically. I love his romantic approach. So love is the most important thing in the world to me. I got into all this because I wanted love.
This guy, I reckon he's at number one now. Number one biggest bullshit artist, PUA fuckwit out there. Oh, talking about so much stuff, so much bullshit. Licking the asses of all the other stupid bloody PUA scammers out there. Geez, it was hard to listen to this. There's that much bullshit he's talking. He'd better get to the bloody point soon.
PUA material teaches you how to get laid, sometimes at the
No, it doesn't. It teaches you how to get rejected.
expense of love. So if you're the type of guy, whoever's listening, if you're the type of guy who also prioritizes love and recognizes that some PUA stuff or red pill stuff teaches things at the expense of love, I think Never Lonely is the book for you. Of course, my book teaches you how to get laid too, and I break it down into 5 very simple seduction steps. But what I think differentiates my book from the others is that it helps you find a real connection with women from a position of authenticity, depth, respect, and masculine vulnerability.
That's fascinating. I can tell from talking.
Fuck, they come up with some absolute bullshit. The only thing that's going to help you, his top 5 bloody titles or whatever and chapters may as well be good looking, be good looking, be good looking, be good looking, be good looking. Because nothing else is really going to help you. It's you can't talk your way in a woman's pants. You can't turn a no into a yes. If you've been given the side eye or the death stare or if you're getting one word responses, there's nothing you can do or say to manipulate them into liking you. I'm not going to listen to the rest of this. It's all just
To you
bullshit.
and from peoples and obstacles. So it's a
We're talking about his book. Yeah, I'll just be talking about his book and trying to sell it to you. So, yeah, this guy's probably one of the worst PUA bullshit artists I've ever heard. And of course, his book's different. If you're not getting results, buy his stuff because it's better, and you'll get more results. And la da 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 da. He talks about a lot of psychobabble, a lot of manipulation tactics that don't work. And if you've been into BP for long enough, you'll come to realise that the only thing that works is looks. And once you've passed that basic looks tests, you don't need any kind of game or just any kind of logistical plan to get laid. It's just the rest of it sees itself out. A lady will make it easy for you. If a woman likes you, she will make it very, very, very easy for you to get with her. And if she doesn't, it's over. And just going back, just thinking about some of the stuff that this chief guy was talking about. Actually, we'll call him Michael Thief because he steals your money. Michael Thief because he's a thief of lonely men's money. It's a good one for him. He does a lot of jester maxing. That's really all he's doing. His whole, in a nutshell, his whole PUA approach is the jester max. Run around, say hi, do this, do that. He says he's introverted. He does anything but be introverted when he goes out. So that's another little hypocritical contradiction there. So he's a short, sub-5 jester maxer that bullshits his complete bloody ass off about what kind of results he gets. And he's a good talker, charismatic. He's, that's all these guys pretty much are. And he gets a lot of money from guys. It sickens me the amount of money these fucking dickheads make. But yeah, please don't give this guy or anyone else any of your money. It's a absolute sham and a scam. If you want to spend money and get laid, find a lady of the night. You can get exactly what you want, and it'll probably end up being cheaper than going on 2 or 3 dates and buying gifts. And some of these modern women here want you to pay their bills and all that shit, pay for petrol money and stuff for them too. They can go and get stuffed. All them bloody and women with their standards through the roof. But yeah, I'll leave this one there. It's just pretty much a generic PUA scam bullshit artist. Probably one of the biggest bullshit artists I've heard. Especially with his stories. He genuinely believes his own bullshit stories. And yeah, he's bullshit artist, full of shit, doesn't get near the results, if any results at all. Haven't really seen a picture of him, but just from him describing his life and how he used to get nothing until he went to the net and found this stuff, he's definitely a sub five rice sell in a Western dating market. It's over for this guy. It's his rating out of, he's out of Chad, decent, average, sometimes, and zero, and like it's over for him. This guy, it's over. He ain't getting anything like what he's saying. He might have chances with his own pheno, but otherwise, this guy ain't getting nothing. Stay away from him. Don't listen to any shit. Don't go to his boot camps. He's full of shit, just like the rest of them. I'll leave this one here. Thanks for watching or listening, primarily, because really, you've only really seen the one screen the whole time. So, yeah, thanks for listening along, and I'll have another video out for you in the near future. Till then, take care.